At the dawn of the 18th century, deep within an impenetrable forest that stretched endlessly and was gripped by the cold of winter, there was a quaint and isolated village. In this remote place lived a young girl named Valerie, along with her parents and her older sister. Despite the seeming peace of village life, the villagers were gripped by fear due to a menacing wolf that prowled the outskirts. This was no ordinary wolf. It was, in fact, a human who had been cursed to take on the form of a wolf during its hunts. Yet the villagers, unaware of the true nature of the beast, believed it to be a mere animal. Valerie, like most of the villagers, was confined by the fear of the wolf, which made her hesitant to venture beyond the village. Her only solace was in her friendship with Peter, a boy with whom she had spent years learning to hunt small game like rabbits. Over the span of a decade, Valerie grew into a young woman, while Peter became a lumberjack. Their friendship deepened into a mutual affection, and they began to dream of a future together, contemplating marriage. However, fate had other plans. Valerie's parents had arranged her betrothal to Henry, the son of a prosperous blacksmith, hoping to secure a more financially stable future for their daughter. Aware of Valerie's love for Peter, her parents nevertheless believed that Henry, with his wealth and status, could provide her with a better life. Faced with this unwanted arrangement, Valerie and Peter resolved that the only way to be together was to flee the village and build a new life elsewhere. Just as they were preparing to leave, the village was struck by tragedy. The ominous howl of the wolf echoed through the night, and Valerie's older sister was found dead, the latest victim of the beast. Devastated, Valerie wept over her sister's loss, her grief made all the more intense by the revelation that her sister had secretly been in love with Henry. In a desperate attempt to win his heart, Valerie's sister had ventured into the forest to meet him, only to discover that Henry's heart belonged to Valerie. Broken by this revelation, she became the prey of the wolf. The village, shaken by the death, decided to take matters into their own hands. A villager announced that help had been summoned. Father Solomon, a seasoned hunter with a reputation for dealing with supernatural threats, was on his way. As the villagers organized a hunt, Valerie's mother urged her to accept her engagement to Henry, recounting her own experience of unrequited love and how she had eventually learned to love the man she married. Valerie, torn between her love for Peter and the duty imposed by her family, was plunged into emotional turmoil. As the village's men prepared for the hunt, armed with weapons and torches, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Peter, ignoring Henry's advice to stay safe, ventured into the forest on his own, while Henry and his father led another group in a different direction. Inside the dark woods, tragedy struck once more. Henry watched in helpless horror as his father was attacked and killed by the wolf. Though some villagers managed to slay a wolf, decapitating it in the process, the celebrations that followed were premature. Father Solomon, upon arriving, informed the village that the wolf they had killed was merely a normal beast and not the shape-shifting monster they were hunting. Solomon shared his own tragic story, how his wife had been killed by a werewolf in his home village, and how the hand of the beast, once severed, had transformed back into a human hand. He warned the villagers that they had not yet rid themselves of the true threat, and that the real wolf still lurked among them, hidden in human form. He also spoke of the blood moon, a rare phenomenon that occurs once every 13 years. and for 3 nights enables those bitten by a werewolf to transform into one. That night, as the villagers celebrated what they thought was the end of their nightmare, the true werewolf attacked. Chaos erupted as the beast tore through the village, killing indiscriminately. Father Solomon and his men fought valiantly, but their efforts were in vain as the wolf escaped into the night. Valerie, hiding in a friend's home, encountered the wolf and heard it whisper threats to her, forcing her to follow it. As she gazed into the wolf's eyes, a chilling sense of recognition washed over her, as if she had seen those eyes before. The following day, Father Solomon ordered a search of every home in the village, believing that the werewolf was hiding among them. During this inspection, one of Solomon's own men, having been bitten by the beast, was executed to prevent his transformation. Meanwhile, Valerie was haunted by doubts and suspicions. When she met Peter again, she could not shake the fear that he might be the wolf. Her anxiety grew when she discovered that her injured mother was being cared for by her grandmother. In a moment of desperation, Valerie decided to test her grandmother, exposing her to sunlight during the blood moon to see if she would transform. When nothing happened, Valerie's suspicions were temporarily eased. However, the following day, Henry confronted Valerie, having witnessed her secret meeting with Peter. He told her he no longer wished to marry someone who did not love him, freeing Valerie from her unwanted engagement. As the villagers' suspicions grew, a friend of Valerie's accused her of communicating with the wolf. In a desperate attempt to protect herself, Valerie confessed to speaking with the beast, but insisted she did not know its identity. Father Solomon, seeing an opportunity, decided to use Valerie as bait to draw out the wolf. That night, as the blood moon hung ominously in the sky, Valerie was tied up in the center of the village. Solomon and his men waited, believing that the wolf would come to save her. As expected, the beast appeared, attacking with ferocious speed. In the chaos, Peter and Henry both tried to rescue Valerie, but Peter was captured. Solomon, now wounded and bitten by the wolf, met his end at the hands of his own men as the beast continued its rampage. In the aftermath, Valerie discovered a dark secret. Her own father was the werewolf, cursed to transform under the blood moon. He had killed her mother and her sister, and now sought to pass the curse on to Valerie by biting her. In a final confrontation, Peter intervened, saving Valerie but getting bitten in the process. Valerie, heartbroken, killed her father to end his reign of terror. With the danger finally over, Peter warned Valerie to stay away until he could control his new wolf nature. But instead of returning to the village, Valerie chose to stay by Peter's side. Together, they found a new beginning in the wilderness, far from the shadows of their past.